Customers brushed past him without a second glance. The elderly Walmart greeter, who said, "Welcome," to Bax, turned and hurried footsteps. Some teenagers even joked that he was probably too slow to catch a shoplifter, let alone handle any real trouble. But Harold Stevens had learned long ago that being underestimated was often the best tactical advantage. What they didn't know was that those tired-looking eyes had spotted enemy aircraft before radar could detect them, and those weathered hands had once pulled 9 Gs while dodging surface-to-air missiles. They were about to discover what a fighter pilot looks like when he's protecting his territory. Welcome to the Silent Heroes. Before we continue this story of hidden valor and forgotten courage, tell us in the comments from which city in the world are you watching this video today. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, hit that subscribe button. These silent heroes walk among us every day, and their stories matter. The Walmart in Riverside, California, was like any other. Harold Stevens had worked the entrance for 4 years, arriving precisely at 6 a.m., pinning on his blue vest, and positioning himself by the automatic doors with a smile most customers ignored. At 68, Harold looked exactly like what people expected: a retiree grateful for any job. The younger employees treated him with patronizing kindness reserved for harmless old men. They spoke slowly, made jokes about his methodical pace, his old-fashioned politeness. Harold probably thinks the internet is still dial-up, Marcus from electronics would whisper during breaks. They weren't cruel, just carelessly dismissive. But if they'd paid attention, they might have noticed things that didn't fit. How Harold's eyes constantly scanned the parking lot, tracking movements with unconscious precision. How he positioned himself for optimal sight lines. The fact that his responses to emergencies were always just a fraction too quick for a simple retiree. They might have wondered why Harold never seemed startled by backfiring cars or sudden loud noises. Why his posture remained perfectly straight despite his age. Why he could estimate distances and calculate angles with mathematical precision when helping customers locate their vehicles. These were the reflexes of someone who'd spent decades making split-second decisions at supersonic speeds, where hesitation meant death and precision meant survival. Harold's days followed a pattern as precise as a flight plan. Clock in at 5:58 a.m., position himself by 6:15, greet customers with genuine warmth. He'd been doing this for 1,460 days. In 4 years, he'd learned the store's rhythm, customer patterns, security weak points. He knew Tuesday afternoons were slower, that teenagers congregated near electronics after school, that the ATM was restocked Thursdays. The Distinguished Flying Cross sat on Harold's kitchen table, next to a faded photo of him beside an F-16. 37 combat missions over Iraq and Afghanistan. 2 confirmed air-to-air kills. 3 emergency landings under enemy fire. He'd been shot down once, spending 18 hours evading capture in hostile territory before rescue arrived. A career that ended with mandatory retirement and a pension that barely covered rent. The transition from Captain Stevens to Harold the Greeter hadn't been easy. He'd tried other jobs: security consulting, flight instruction, corporate training. But nothing filled the void left by a life spent defending his country at 30,000 feet. The Walmart job wasn't glamorous, but it gave him purpose, protecting people, even if they never knew they needed protection. Harold rarely looked at the medal anymore. That life belonged to Captain Harold Stevens, Air Force. This life belonged to Harold the greeter, until Tuesday, October 15th, when his worlds collided. It was 2:47 p.m. when the black Suburban pulled into the fire lane. Harold noticed immediately. Wrong vehicle for a quick stop. Tinted windows, engine running, passenger door open before stopping. 3 men emerged. Late 20s, athletic, moving with coordinated precision. The first wore a hoodie despite 85-degree heat. The second kept his hand inside his jacket. The third scanned the parking lot with professional awareness. Harold recognized them immediately. These weren't customers, they were operators. Their formation, timing, and approach patterns screamed military training repurposed for criminal enterprise. The lead man made eye contact. "Old man, you didn't see nothing. Turn around, walk away, keep breathing." Harold's response was automatic. "Welcome to Walmart, gentlemen. Can I help you find anything today?" "Are you deaf, Grandpa?" "Walk away." Harold stepped backward, hands raised peacefully. To anyone watching, he looked intimidated. But his retreat positioned him behind customer service, where the panic button waited. The men entered. Harold pressed the silent alarm, then reached for the phone. But before he could dial, gunshots erupted from electronics. Chaos filled the store. Customers dropped, ran, shouted. The 3 men had spread in professional formation, one controlling the entrance, one toward customer service, one heading for the cash office. Harold assessed with cold calculation. 3 hostiles, military coordination, financial objective. The entrance man wore body armor. The customer service operative carried a modified AR-15. The third was demanding safe access. Store security had retreated behind shelving, following protocol, smart for normal guards. But Harold wasn't normal security. Muscle memory activated. Situational awareness expanded across the tactical environment. Escape routes, cover positions, civilian locations mapped instantly. His mind shifted into combat mode, the same focused state he'd entered before engaging enemy fighters over hostile airspace. Harold moved toward sporting goods. Walmart didn't sell firearms, but they stocked tactical equipment. Flashlights, knives, rope, items that could be weaponized by someone who understood their potential. As he moved, Harold's demeanor shifted completely. Gone was the shuffling gait. In its place emerged controlled grace of someone who'd operated in high-stress environments where split-second decisions meant survival. He mentally calculated engagement vectors, assessed weapon capabilities, and formulated a tactical plan that would neutralize threats while minimizing civilian casualties. The same strategic thinking that had once guided air-to-air combat now adapted to ground-level warfare. What happened next took 90 seconds, but unfolded with airstrike precision. Harold emerged from sporting goods carrying a tactical flashlight and climbing rope. He approached electronics using clothing racks for concealment. The gunman was focused on Marcus, demanding access to locked merchandise. Harold waited for the perfect moment, when the gunman's attention was completely focused on breaking open display cases. His approach was silent, calculated, using years of training in stealth and precision. The flashlight struck the gunman's wrist with surgical accuracy, targeting the radial nerve to cause immediate numbness. The weapon discharged harmlessly into the ceiling. Before recovery, Harold looped rope around his ankles and pulled, sending him crashing into cell phone displays. Harold kicked away the dropped weapon and applied a blood choke he'd learned in survival training, rendering the man unconscious in seconds. He zip-tied hands with cable ties, secured legs with rope. 28 seconds total. The customer service gunman heard commotion and turned, leaving Jessica. Harold used shopping carts as mobile cover, staying low and moving at angles that made him difficult to target. His movement patterns were those of someone who'd trained to evade enemy fire. This engagement was messier. 2 shots went wide before Harold tackled him into Halloween decorations. They fought among scattered merchandise. The gunman was younger, stronger, but Harold fought with the controlled aggression of someone who'd survived ejection from a burning aircraft and 18 hours behind enemy lines. Harold used leverage and technique to overcome physical disadvantage, positioning behind his opponent and applying another blood choke. 15 seconds of struggle before the man went limp. 2 down, 1 to go. The third gunman abandoned his office position and moved toward combat sounds. He rounded the corner to find Harold standing calmly beside 2 unconscious, zip-tied men. "Who the hell are you?" he demanded, raising his weapon. Harold's response was calm, professional. "Sir, I suggest you set down your weapon. Your team is neutralized, police are en route, and you're surrounded." The gunman laughed. "By who?" "You're just some old man who got lucky." Harold smiled, not the apologetic grin of a greeter, but confident expression of someone who'd faced worse odds in more dangerous circumstances. "You're right. I am just an old man. But I'm an old man who spent 30 years flying combat missions. Your escape route is blocked, your backup never showed, and you've got 90 seconds before SWAT arrives." Sirens filled the air. The gunman's confidence wavered. "That's impossible. We planned this for months." "You planned for security guards and scared civilians. You didn't plan for someone who's been in actual firefights." 15 seconds later, the gunman surrendered. Police found a scene that defied explanation. 3 professional criminals neutralized with store merchandise, 0 civilian casualties, minimal property damage, and Harold standing calmly in his blue vest. Detective Sarah Martinez interviewed Harold. "Sir, can you walk me through what happened?" Harold's explanation was methodical. 3 armed individuals entered with apparent robbery intent. They displayed tactical coordination and military equipment. I assessed the threat and took appropriate action to neutralize danger to civilians. "Are you military?" "Retired Air Force." Captain Harold Stevens, 355th Fighter Wing. "Combat experience?" "Some." Database searches revealed the full picture. Captain Harold Stevens, 1,847 flight hours in F-16s, 37 combat missions, Distinguished Flying Cross for extraordinary heroism, engaging 4 enemy aircraft to protect a damaged transport carrying wounded soldiers, Silver Star for ground survival and evasion during 18 hours behind enemy lines. A legend greeting customers at Walmart for 4 years. Section 8. The Recognition. The story hit local news within hours, going national by evening. But Harold refused interviews. He returned to work the next day, pinning on his vest as if nothing happened. The difference was how people saw him. Customers who'd ignored him for years now stopped to thank him. Employees who'd treated him like furniture suddenly understood they'd been working alongside a genuine hero. Marcus approached during break. "Sir, I owe you an apology. We never realized who you were." Harold smiled. "Son, I'm exactly who I've always been. The only thing that changed is what you needed me to be." The mayor offered a city key. The manager offered promotion. Veterans groups invited him to speak. Harold declined most honors, but continued greeting customers with the same warmth. Now when teenagers joked about the slow old man, older customers would correct them. "That's Captain Stevens. Show some respect." Harold kept the newspaper clipping in his wallet, next to a photo of his F-16. But he never mentioned the incident unless asked. The Distinguished Flying Cross returned to his kitchen table beside a new addition, a thank you card from every Walmart employee. "Thank you for protecting us." Harold read it sometimes during morning coffee before driving to work to stand by automatic doors and greet customers. Because some heroes don't need recognition. They just need people to protect. So, I ask you, have you ever met someone whose quiet service hid extraordinary courage? Someone who chose to protect others without asking for recognition? Share their story in the comments below. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button and join the Silent Heroes community. We honor those who serve in silence, who protect without praise, and who remind us that real heroes often hide in plain sight. Turn on notifications and help us keep these stories alive. Because somewhere out there, someone needs to remember that strength doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it just stands quietly by the door, waiting for the moment when everything depends on being exactly who you've always been. Thank you for watching, and remember, the next time you pass someone in a uniform, look closer. You might be walking past a hero,